A restless mind, a stormy tide, thoughts unending, nowhere to hide, past regrets, and fears ahead. The present fades, lost in dread. But pause, my friend, and take a breath, for peace is near. Beyond this depth, the Buddha's path, a guiding light, to calm the storm and end the fight. Asterisk, have you ever felt as though your mind is trapped in a ceaseless whirlwind of thoughts? One moment, you're replaying the regrets of the past, and the next, you're consumed by worries about an uncertain future. Then there's the relentless analysis of the present, dissecting every interaction, every decision. It's exhausting, isn't it? Overthinking is more than just a habit. It's a silent thief, quietly stealing our peace and disconnecting us from the beauty of the here and now. It drags us into a storm of what-ifs and should-haves, making it nearly impossible to experience life as it unfolds. But here's the truth. Beneath the chaos of your thoughts lies a still, quiet center, a place of clarity and calm. Buddhism teaches us that this inner peace is not something you have to chase. It's already within you, waiting to be uncovered. The challenge lies in learning how to let go of the mental noise that obscures it. In this podcast, we'll explore how the ancient teachings of Buddhism can help us break free from the endless cycle of overthinking. These teachings are not abstract concepts, but practical tools you can use every day to transform the way you think, feel, and live. We'll dive into the practice of mindfulness, which anchors us firmly in the present moment, freeing us from the chains of past regrets and future anxieties. We'll uncover the liberating power of non-attachment, learning how to let go of the need to control every outcome. And we'll embrace the wisdom of impermanence, understanding that no storm lasts forever, not even the one in your mind. Take a moment now to breathe deeply. Inhale through your nose, hold for a few seconds, and exhale slowly. With each breath, imagine the storm within you beginning to settle. This is the first step on a journey toward peace and clarity. So, are you ready to quiet the noise, to calm the storm, and to reconnect with the serenity that lies within? Together, we'll uncover timeless wisdom that will help you let go of mental clutter and embrace life with an open heart and a clear mind. Let's begin. Why does the mind create such chaos? Why does it cling to fears and replay regrets, holding us captive in an endless cycle of thoughts? To answer these questions, we first need to understand the nature of overthinking. At its core, overthinking stems from our mind's natural tendency to seek control, certainty, and security in an unpredictable world. It's a survival mechanism, rooted in our deep-seated fear of the unknown. Imagine this. Your mind is like a computer running multiple programs at once. It replays the mistakes of the past, hoping to fix what cannot be undone. It jumps ahead to the future, creating endless what-if scenarios to prepare for uncertainties. And in the present, it picks apart every little detail, searching for flaws or threats that may not even exist. While this mental activity may seem productive at first, it often spirals into excessive rumination and worry. Instead of solving problems, overthinking magnifies them. A single thought can snowball into a narrative of doubt, fear, and anxiety, leaving you feeling paralyzed and disconnected from reality. Buddhism offers profound insights into this phenomenon. The Buddha taught that much of our suffering arises not from external circumstances, but from the way we cling to thoughts, emotions, and desires. This clinging, or upadana in Sanskrit, is like holding onto a burning coal. It only causes pain, yet we refuse to let go. The more we analyze and try to control every aspect of life, the more tangled our minds become. Overthinking traps us in a mental storm, where the waves of worry and regret crash endlessly against the shores of our consciousness. It creates the illusion that we are doing something about our problems, but in reality, it leaves us exhausted and stuck. Let me share a story from the Buddhist tradition that illustrates this beautifully. A young monk approached his teacher, lamenting that his mind was like a monkey, leaping from one branch of thought to another. The teacher smiled and replied, "The monkey is not the problem. It is the rope you use to tie it." The teacher's words point to a powerful truth. It's not the presence of thoughts that causes our suffering, it's our attachment to them. When we hold on tightly to our worries, fears, and regrets, we give them power over us. But when we learn to let them go, they lose their grip, and the mind begins to settle. Think about it. How much time and energy do you spend replaying the past or trying to predict the future? How often do you miss the beauty of the present moment because your mind is caught in an endless loop of what ifs and should haves? Overthinking doesn't just rob us of peace, it also prevents us from fully engaging with life. It's like trying to enjoy a breathtaking sunset while staring at your phone, completely oblivious to the colors fading before your eyes. But here's the good news. Just as the storm in your mind has a cause, it also has a cure. By understanding the roots of overthinking, we can begin to untangle ourselves from its grip. And the teachings of Buddhism provide us with a roadmap, a way to calm the mind, let go of attachment, and rediscover the peace that lies beneath the surface. In the next section, we'll explore the first of these transformative teachings, the practice of mindfulness. This ancient yet practical tool can help you step out of the storm and into the stillness of the present moment. Let's continue. Let me ask you this. What if the key to peace isn't about silencing your thoughts, but learning to live alongside them? What if, instead of running from the storm, you could stand in its calm center and find stillness? Mindfulness, which means being fully present and aware, is one of the most powerful tools we have to quiet an overactive mind. It's not just about sitting still or meditating. It's about learning to anchor yourself in the present moment. You see, the beauty of mindfulness is how it transforms the way we interact with our thoughts. Instead of fighting against them or trying to make them disappear, mindfulness teaches us to step back and observe them. Think of your thoughts like clouds passing across the sky. They're there, but they don't have to define you. The Buddha once described mindfulness as the direct path to freedom. And I love that phrase because it captures exactly what mindfulness offers. A way to free yourself from the constant worry about the past and anxiety about the future. Instead, you learn to live here, in this very moment, where life is actually happening. Now let me share a simple image to explain mindfulness. Imagine you're holding a glass of muddy water. If you keep shaking it, the water stays cloudy. But if you set it down and leave it be, the sediment begins to settle, and the water becomes clear. Your mind works in the same way. When you practice mindfulness, you're allowing your thoughts to settle naturally, without forcing or controlling them. One of the easiest ways to start practicing mindfulness is by focusing on your breath. Right now, let's try it together. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for just a moment. Now exhale slowly, feeling the tension leave your body. Do this a few times. Notice how even a simple breath can create a moment of stillness in your busy mind. This practice is incredibly powerful because it teaches you to observe your thoughts without getting caught in them. So instead of judging yourself for overthinking or trying to stop every thought, you simply let them come and go, like leaves floating on a gentle stream. There's a beautiful story in Buddhism that reminds me of this. A monk was sitting by a river, watching the water flow by. A traveler approached him and asked, "Master, how can I calm my restless mind?" The monk smiled and said, "The river flows, but the rocks remain still. Be like the rocks, let the water pass, and you will find peace." And that's exactly what mindfulness invites us to do. The river of thoughts will always flow, but we don't have to be swept away by it. We can learn to stand firm, grounded in the present, and let the current pass us by. But mindfulness isn't just something you practice while meditating. You can bring it into every part of your day. When you're eating, take a moment to really taste your food. Notice the texture, the flavor, the aroma. When you're walking, feel the sensation of your feet touching the ground. Listen to the sounds around you. These small moments of awareness add up, and before you know it, they'll become a natural part of your life. Here's what's truly amazing. Mindfulness doesn't just calm your mind. It helps you connect more deeply with everything around you, your relationships, your work, your passions. It allows you to notice life's simple joys, like the warmth of sunlight or the sound of birds singing, things that often get lost in the noise of overthinking. So if you've ever felt trapped in your own mind, Mindfulness offers a way out. It's not about stopping your thoughts, but about changing your relationship with them. It's about learning to observe the storm without being pulled into it. Next, we'll explore another key teaching, the art of letting go. This ancient wisdom will show you how to release your attachment to control and embrace the natural flow of life. Let's keep going. Let me ask you something. How often do we hold on to things we can't control? How often do we cling to expectations, fearing failure, loss, or uncertainty? This clinging, my friends, is at the heart of overthinking. But what if I told you that letting go isn't about giving up? It's about giving yourself the freedom to live fully in the present moment. The Buddha taught, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. This teaching reminds us that while we can't avoid life's difficulties, we can choose how we respond to them. Let's take a moment to reflect on this. Imagine you're carrying a heavy boulder uphill. Every step feels harder than the last, and no matter how much you push, the boulder doesn't move any closer to the top. Now, picture yourself setting that boulder down. Feel the weight lift from your shoulders. The path ahead becomes clear, not because you forced it to be, but because you stopped resisting. This is the essence of letting go. It's not about ignoring your challenges. It's about releasing your attachment to them. It's about recognizing that some things are beyond your control, and that's okay. Let me share a story to bring this idea to life. A Buddhist monk once observed a person straining to push a large rock. Sweating and frustrated, the monk gently asked, "Why are you pushing the rock?" The person replied, "Because I need to move it." The monk smiled and said, "But the rock hasn't moved. Why not let it be and walk around it?" This story illustrates a profound truth. So much of our suffering comes not from the challenges we face, but from our resistance to them. When we cling to what we can't change, whether it's the past, the future, or even our expectations, we create unnecessary suffering. But how do we let go? How do we release our grip on the things that weigh us down? One way is through the practice of non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean we stop caring or become indifferent. It means we stop clinging to outcomes, allowing life to unfold naturally. Think of it like holding sand in your hand. If you grip it tightly, it slips through your fingers. But if you hold it gently, it stays. You can also practice gratitude as a way of letting go. When we focus on what we have, rather than what we lack, our perspective shifts. Gratitude helps us release the need to control everything, replacing it with a sense of trust in the flow of life. Another way to let go is by embracing the wisdom of impermanence. In Buddhism, this idea is called anicca, the understanding that everything is temporary. The Buddha once said, "All conditioned things are impermanent. Strive on with diligence." This truth is both humbling and liberating. It reminds us that nothing, neither our struggles nor our joys, lasts forever. Think of your thoughts and emotions like waves in the ocean. They rise, they peak, and they fall. By accepting this natural rhythm, we can face life's challenges with grace, knowing that even the toughest storms will pass. Here's something practical you can try right now: the let go breath. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, silently say to yourself, "Let go." Imagine releasing whatever has been weighing you down: fears, worries, expectations. Feel the lightness that comes with each breath. Letting go isn't something you do once and forget about. It's a daily practice, a choice you make moment by moment. Each time you let go, you create space for something new: peace, clarity, and freedom. In the next part of this journey, we'll dive into one of the most profound teachings of Buddhism, impermanence. Together, we'll explore how understanding life's ever-changing nature can help us live with more resilience and joy. Let's continue. Let's pause for a moment and consider this truth. Nothing lasts forever. Not your struggles, not your joys, not even the thoughts that seem to take over your mind. This is the essence of impermanence, one of the most profound teachings in Buddhism. The Buddha once said, "All conditioned things are impermanent. Strive on with diligence." These words remind us that life is constantly changing. Everything we experience, our emotions, our circumstances, even the people we love, is in a state of continuous flux. At first, this idea can feel unsettling. After all, we often cling to what feels safe and familiar, hoping to hold on to happiness and avoid pain. But when we truly understand impermanence, it becomes a source of freedom rather than fear. Think about it this way. The very nature of change means that no matter how difficult a moment may be, it will pass. The storm clouds in your mind may feel overwhelming, but they are just that, clouds. They will drift away, revealing the clear sky beyond. Let me share a story to illustrate this. A king once asked a wise monk to give him a phrase that would bring him comfort in difficult times and humility in moments of pride. The monk handed him a simple ring engraved with the words, "This too shall pass." These words carry a timeless truth. When we're caught in the grip of overthinking or struggling with life's challenges, remembering that this too shall pass can help us let go of fear and find calm in the present moment. Impermanence isn't just about letting go of difficulties. It's also about appreciating the beauty of life's fleeting moments. When we realize that everything is temporary, we begin to cherish the little things, the warmth of sunlight on our skin, the laughter of a loved one, the sound of the wind in the trees. These moments become treasures, not because they last forever, but because they don't. Here's something practical you can do to embrace impermanence. The next time you feel overwhelmed by a thought or emotion, take a moment to pause and remind yourself, this is temporary. This too shall pass. As you breathe in, imagine the thought or feeling rising. As you breathe out, imagine it fading away, like a wave returning to the ocean. Nature itself is one of the greatest teachers of impermanence. Look at the changing seasons, how winter's harshness gives way to the renewal of spring, how flowers bloom and then wither, making room for new life. This natural cycle reminds us that every ending is also a beginning. In the same way, our challenges and fears are not permanent. They are opportunities for growth, for transformation. When we embrace change, we stop resisting life and begin to flow with it. But impermanence isn't just about external events, it's also about our thoughts and emotions. Have you ever noticed how a feeling that seems so overwhelming in the moment often fades when you stop clinging to it? Like waves in the ocean, our thoughts and emotions rise and fall. They're not who we are, they're just passing experiences. Here's a question to reflect on. What would happen if, instead of fighting change, you learned to embrace it? How would your life look if you saw each moment, not as something to control, but as something to experience fully? When we stop fearing change and start welcoming it, we unlock a deeper resilience within ourselves. We find the courage to face life's uncertainties with an open heart. And in doing so, we discover that impermanence isn't a threat, it's a gift. As we move forward, let's explore how simplicity, the act of letting go of what no longer serves us, can further enhance our ability to live with clarity and peace. Let's continue. Have you ever felt like life is too complicated? Like you're carrying the weight of endless worries, commitments, and expectations, unsure of how to lighten the load? If so, you're not alone. In today's fast-paced world, simplicity is often overlooked, but it holds the key to freedom. Simplicity isn't about giving up everything or living with nothing. It's about making space in your mind, your heart, and your life. It's about letting go of what no longer serves you so you can focus on what truly matters. Buddhism teaches us that less is more. The more we try to hold on to, whether it's possessions, relationships, or ideas, the heavier life becomes. But when we start to release the unnecessary, we begin to feel lighter, freer, and more at peace. Think of your mind as a cluttered room. When there's too much stuff, it's hard to move around or even think clearly. But as you start to declutter, you create a sense of order, calm, and clarity. This is what simplicity offers, a way to clear the mental and emotional clutter that often fuels overthinking. Let me share a practical image with you. Imagine you're carrying a backpack filled with rocks. Each rock represents something you're holding on to, a regret from the past, a fear about the future, a responsibility that no longer aligns with your values. Now, imagine taking out one rock at a time. With each rock you set down, the backpack becomes lighter, and eventually, you feel free to move forward without the weight holding you back. This is what simplifying your life feels like. It's not about abandoning your responsibilities. It's about identifying which ones truly matter and letting go of the rest. But how do we start? Here are a few simple steps. First, take a look at your physical surroundings. Are there items in your home that you no longer use or need? Letting go of physical clutter can have a surprising impact on your mental state. Start small, clear one drawer, one shelf, or one corner of a room. Notice how the act of letting go creates space not just in your home, but in your mind. Next, think about your schedule. Are there commitments that drain your energy without adding value to your life? It's okay to say no. By simplifying your schedule, you create room for what truly nourishes your soul, whether it's spending time with loved ones, pursuing a passion, or simply resting. And finally, reflect on your thoughts. Are there beliefs or expectations you're holding onto that no longer serve you? For example, the belief that you need to have everything figured out, or the expectation that you should always be perfect. These mental clutter items are often the heaviest to carry. Letting them go doesn't mean you stop trying. It means you give yourself permission to be human. There's a beautiful principle in Zen Buddhism called shibumi, which refers to the beauty of simplicity and understated elegance. It reminds us that we don't need more to feel fulfilled. True joy comes from appreciating the small, often overlooked moments, the warmth of a cup of tea, the sound of laughter, the stillness of the morning. When we embrace simplicity, we shift our focus from doing to being. We stop chasing after more and start finding contentment in less. And in doing so, we free ourselves from the mental clutter that often leads to overthinking. Here's a question for you. What is one thing in your life, an object, a commitment, or a thought that you could let go of today? Just one. Start there. Take a deep breath and imagine the freedom that comes with releasing what you no longer need. As we continue this journey, we'll explore how gratitude, the simple act of appreciating what we have, can transform our perspective and bring even more peace into our lives. Let's move forward together. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you paused to appreciate the little things in your life? The sunrise you barely noticed, the warmth of a kind word, or even the breath you're taking right now. Gratitude is one of the simplest yet most powerful practices we can cultivate. It has the ability to shift our focus from what's missing to what's already here, from lack to abundance, from worry to peace. In a world that constantly pushes us to strive for more, gratitude reminds us to stop, breathe, and acknowledge the blessings we often overlook. The Buddha once said, "Let us rise up and be thankful. For if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So, let us all be thankful." This teaching invites us to look beyond our expectations and appreciate life as it is, even in its imperfections. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It means finding light in the midst of darkness, joy in the midst of struggle. But how do we cultivate gratitude in a practical way? How do we train our minds to focus on what truly matters? One of the most effective ways is to start small. At the end of each day, take a moment to reflect on 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big or life-changing. Sometimes the smallest things bring the greatest joy. Maybe it's the comfort of your bed, the taste of a good meal, or the sound of rain on the roof. As you practice, you'll notice something beautiful happening. Your perspective begins to shift. Instead of dwelling on what you don't have, you start seeing the abundance in your life. This shift in focus doesn't just bring peace, it also quiets the noise of overthinking. Let me share a story from the Buddhist tradition. A monk was traveling through a village and stopped to rest under a tree. A young boy approached him and asked, "Master, how do you find happiness?" The monk smiled, picked up a single leaf, and said, "Happiness is like this leaf. It is small, simple, and always within reach. But most of us are too busy searching for a forest to notice it." This story reminds us that gratitude isn't about waiting for something grand to happen. It's about noticing the leaves in our everyday lives, the small, simple moments that often go unnoticed. Gratitude also has a powerful way of grounding us in the present moment. When we pause to appreciate what's in front of us, we naturally pull ourselves out of the endless cycle of overthinking. It's hard to worry about the future or dwell on the past when you're fully immersed in the now. Here's an exercise you can try. The next time you're feeling overwhelmed, stop and look around you. Find one thing to appreciate, just one. Maybe it's the color of the sky, the feeling of your breath, or the kindness of someone nearby. Hold on to that feeling of gratitude for a few moments, and notice how it shifts your state of mind. Gratitude also invites us to let go of comparison. So often, we overthink because we're measuring ourselves against others, what they have, what they've achieved, who they are. But gratitude reminds us that our journey is our own, and there's beauty in its uniqueness. As we continue to practice gratitude, we start to see life differently. Challenges become opportunities to grow. Setbacks become lessons, and even the smallest joys become treasures. So, I ask you, what are you grateful for today? Take a deep breath and hold that thought in your heart. Because when we live with gratitude, we don't just find peace, we also cultivate the strength to navigate life's ups and downs with grace and resilience. Next, we'll explore one final teaching, trusting in life's impermanence and embracing the natural flow of change. Together, we'll uncover how this wisdom can guide us toward a life of deeper clarity and peace. Let's continue. What if instead of fighting against life's changes, we could trust its natural flow? What if, by embracing uncertainty, we could find peace in the midst of it all? Life, much like a river, is always moving. It flows through calm streams, rushes through turbulent rapids, and eventually finds its way to open waters. And just as we can't stop a river from flowing, we can't stop life from changing. The Buddha taught us this truth through the principle of impermanence, anicca, the understanding that everything, from our happiest moments to our deepest struggles, is temporary. At first, this can feel unsettling. We often resist change, clinging to the familiar because it feels safe. But here's the paradox. The more we resist, the more we suffer. True freedom comes when we learn to trust the flow of life, to let go of what we can't control, and to move forward with clarity and resilience. Let me share a story to illustrate this. A young man approached a Zen master and said, "Master, I feel stuck. I'm afraid of the changes happening in my life." The master took the young man to a river and said, "Step into the water." As the young man stood in the stream, he noticed the current flowing around his legs. The master said, "Do you feel that? The river flows. No matter what, you can resist it, or you can let it guide you. The choice is yours." This story reminds us that life's challenges are not obstacles, they are part of the journey. When we stop resisting and start trusting, we open ourselves to growth, transformation, and deeper understanding. But how do we learn to trust the flow? How do we let go of the need to control every aspect of our lives? The first step is acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up, it means acknowledging what is, without judgment. When we accept life as it is, rather than as we wish it to be, we free ourselves from the frustration of trying to change the unchangeable. Next, we cultivate flexibility. Think of a tree in a storm. The rigid branches snap, but the flexible ones bend and sway with the wind, remaining strong. In the same way, when we adapt to life's changes rather than resisting them, we find resilience in the face of uncertainty. Another key is to stay grounded in the present moment. When we're caught in the storm of overthinking, it's often because we're fixated on the past or anxious about the future. But the present, the here and now, is where life actually happens. Trusting the flow means being fully present, even when the current feels strong. Let me share a simple exercise to help you anchor yourself. Take a deep breath in. Feel the air filling your lungs. Now exhale slowly, releasing any tension. As you breathe, say to yourself, "I trust the flow." Repeat this a few times, letting the words guide you. This practice, though simple, can help you reconnect with a sense of calm and confidence. Trusting the flow also means embracing the unknown. Often, we fear uncertainty because we equate it with danger. But the truth is, uncertainty is where growth happens. It's where we discover new opportunities, new strengths, and new perspectives. The Buddha once said, "In the end, these things matter most. How well did you love? How fully did you live? How deeply did you let go?" These words remind us that life isn't about controlling every outcome. It's about embracing the journey, with all its twists and turns. So, I invite you to reflect on this. What would your life look like if you trusted the flow? If you let go of the need to control and allowed life to unfold naturally? As we conclude this journey together, remember that peace is not something you find outside yourself. It's something you cultivate within through mindfulness, simplicity, gratitude, and trust. Each of these teachings is a step on the path to clarity and resilience. The river of life will always flow, but you have the choice to move with it or against it. When you choose to trust the flow, you'll find that the journey becomes not only easier, but also more beautiful. Take a deep breath, my friend. Trust the flow, and may you walk this path with peace, clarity, and courage.